Hello, my name is Andrew Perfors. I'm the director of the Complex Human Data Hub, and I want to tell you a little bit about us and what we do. Our little catchphrase is the science behind how we measure and model human cognition and behavior. What that basically means is that we're math nerds who really like studying psychology. Um, uh, Here's a little blurb from our webpage, which you can see linked in the slide below. And essentially what we try to do is use mathematical modeling, big data, other kinds of techie techniques to really study people, to quantify and explain how we think, how we learn, how we choose, and how that's shaped both by our internal cognitive capacities, but also by each other, the social interactions, and then the environments that we create. And then, of course, how those things then shape us. So it's not just individuals, but it's individuals working with each other and individuals in an environment that's mutually formed by all of us. And we use experiments and also some modeling to do it. So not just one or the other, really sort of different mixtures of both for different kinds of questions. Um, I tried to come up with a, what encompasses us. And I mean, lest we be cheesy, but it sort of is like what we try to do is we do good science and good research, but also have a lot of fun. We are fortunate enough to be located at Melbourne Connect, which you can see a picture of there. Just to sort of whet your appetite for this, this is a view from our the hub where everyone works. So it's really, we're very lucky to be where we are. And if you go to the Melbourne Connect webpage, you'll see that Melbourne Connect has a whole ton of lots of other co-located industry and people from lots of associated departments I'll talk about later. So it's really a fantastic place to work. We have a lot of things going on. So we have weekly seminars during the semesters with both people from the hub and also a bunch of external speakers. And again, just you can always follow the links in the slides that not all of our seminars are on YouTube. Some speakers don't want them to be on YouTube, but you can see a lot of them are. And you can see the events, sort of a ton that there have been, but just to give you a sense of what these seminars involve. So here's some of the titles of seminars in the past year-ish or so. And you can see that's quite a range, right? There's things about learning, language, cultural evolution, things about perception, music, processing level sorts of things about, how we integrate information. And, lots of topics that you might not think of as being a complex human data hub, like moral judgment research or child caregiver interactions. But what makes them appropriate for the hub is how these people, how this research works, which is generally, again, sort of involving some kind of modeling or interesting data that's complex in some way. And yeah, it's about as vague as it sounds, but that gives you a sense of the range of stuff that we do. And, again, have a look at the playlists to watch some of those talks. Another cool thing we do in our talk series is we call it the This Is Your Life seminar series. So different people in the hub have sometimes, instead of done a normal talk, we've done a talk about basically our journey over our life, both as scientists, but also as people. And those I really have enjoyed giving. And I think it's really nice to watch, to really see the complete person and how the science is informed by our actual experiences. Again, not everyone who's given a talk is on YouTube because some of them are fairly private, but there's a whole lot there, and so you can go and check those out too to really get a sense of the kinds of people we have. Um, if you did a PhD here, a lot of people stay in academia, but a lot of people go on to industry, where industry, I mean, in a pretty broad sense, data science, some people end up working for defense or government, public health, that sort of thing, because really the general ability to, quantify and model data and think about the people and the human processes behind them is actually a quite general skill. Um, and you see that in the sort of range of different schools and departments and faculties that we collaborate with. So this is just the ones that occurred to me when I was making the slide. I'm sure there's many others that didn't occur to me, but you can see everything from like, medicine, computer science to even arts. Uh, Within the hub, we've put a lot of effort into making sure that people are supported. So there's an internal LMS which we post lots of information on. That's what the LMS looks like. And within the resources slab, there's like lots and lots of information about basically any kinds of resources that any PhD student or staff member might need. So administration, communication, and we definitely allocate our own internal resources largely to support of various kinds. So this includes travel and research support funding for PhD students and staff. We have a hub programmer who they won't do your programming for you if you're a PhD student, but they will definitely work with you and help you level up as you learn to program yourself. And if it's a complicated enough thing, can sort of do bits of it. We've also really put a lot of effort into just building a culture where we support each other, we collaborate with each other, and PhD students and all academic staff are really encouraged not just to work in their little groups, but collaborate and support each other as we go through. And we also have a pretty flourishing summer intern program, which sometimes PhD students actually do get to supervise. But that's a great way to get additional new blood and also assistance from. I think we're pretty nice. So I didn't want to list us all, but just to sort of, like I said, I'm the director, Simon Cropper, who many of you know may be the deputy director. We have a fantastic coordinator, Elizabeth, and you can go to that website to see everybody who's officially in the hub. Just to tell you a little bit more specifically about the kinds of research we do, there's the general blurb I gave you, but also you can think about it as there's kind of within the hub, we have sort of three kind of loose sub-hubs. And I say loose, and I mean actually pretty loose. So each of those sub-hubs, there's many people who straddle multiples. We've had many discussions of, is this the right number? As you would expect from like, nerds, is 3 right? 4, how would we call this? But we've chosen this because it kind of gives you a sense of the scope of the kind of work we do. So there's a bunch of people looking at different aspects of language and culture and information systems and that sort of thing. A lot of people really interested in social networks and how information flow goes over those, and also information processing, which is meant sort of on the individual level, like how our memory and decision making works. Here is pictures of all the continuing staff. We also have quite a number of excellent research fellows and early career people and fantastic PhDs who I couldn't all fit on the slide. But just to give you a little more sense of the scope of things, I tried to come up with some general topics and labels for some of the work we do. On any given day, I could probably come up with slightly different topics and labels, so don't overfit to these, but again, it gives a general sense of things. So in terms of individual cognition, there's a whole ton of us who are interested in things like perception, attention, categorization, how people do this. And again, where usually there's some precise human experiments, but also combined with modeling, the balance depending on the particular question being asked. There's people interested in decision making, so like either very precise rapid reaction time models of like really trying to understand at the micro level, all the way up to sort of things like what factors affect people's decisions society wise and so forth. There's also a lot of people focused on memory, essentially almost anything you can think of with memory, sort of, recognition, recall, visual short-term memory, different kinds of implications of different memory flaws and emotion and things like that. Burgeoning interest in AI. And again, I've not been able, there's some of the early career researchers who aren't continuing to do a lot of stuff with this, but really looking at sort of large language models, how do human representations and semantics compare to those, and so forth. And of course, language, you would have seen already in many of the talk titles and everything. Particularly interested in sort of how we learn language, how our culture and our community shapes that, how it changes over time. And of course, that relates to this source, the link to social systems and so forth. So looking at, cultural dynamics, information systems, information flow, polarization, and that sort of thing. So that's generally, the broad overview. Please have a look at all the links that are on the slides. Check out our webpage, check out our YouTube. And if you're interested in talking, send us an email. And thank you very much.